What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the GITM podcast, where we cover the true crime,
everything's working.
True crime, the paranormal, and whatever else we want to discuss that's going on in the world. This is take 2 for this.
We will
episode.
not be silenced by fake media.
We are. Hold on, let's do it. We are back. Sorry for that little delay. Even though I wore the same shirt, I don't know if you're wearing the same.
I think I am.
Well, I have to look. I'll check the tape. But we had a little technical difficulty last night in the live stream.
We didn't have a technical difficulty. We were assaulted and we were attacked.
So, but we were back with the Charles Manson. Was he a CIA experiment gone awry, or did he go right? That is the question.
So we're just not going to tell people
what
really happened about the multitude of quad rotor drones that we heard buzzing outside the window to my left.
We were talking a little shit. We were talking some shit about Drake, and I think he hacked us and shut us down.
We're not going to talk about the fact that we just had to have a carpentry crew install a new entryway that is now all reinforced steel to prevent the egress that occurred last night. The absolute onslaught of men in black that came through the door, who I then yoked up like fucking Gorilla Monsoon and just gave him the old fucking fireman's toss.
I think you're exaggerating a wee bit much.
And then
a whole 6 inches.
And Phil just sat back and watched while I swanton bombed a bunch of people off the couch.
I had your back, way back. Anyway, like I said, we're covering Charles Manson. Was he a CIA operative or CIA experiment? All that happy shit. For those of you who...
One of them was Charles Manson. He's not actually dead.
His ghost came in.
He's been made into a cybertronic super soldier.
Oh, I'm afraid to move my feet. I'm safe over here. There's no wires over here.
I'm just not going to move ever again.
You just stay there, stay still. You just sit there and look pretty, sweetheart.
I'm not even going to talk. I'm just going to gargoyle this shit.
Right. Charles, this episode comes a lot from, I might have said this earlier, I don't know.
Probably.
It comes a lot from the Tom O'Neill book, Chaos.
Shaquille's cousin?
Yes. Whiter and much shorter.
Jermaine's brother?
Yeah. Is an excellent book. He covered this story for 20 years. It took him 20 years to come up with this book. It originally started out as a news or magazine article for, I believe, in '99 for the 30th anniversary of the Tate LaBianca murders. And for those of you who are ignorant, that's what we're talking about. Charles Manson was behind the Tate LaBianca murders there in Hollywood.
Just like the government was behind us when they fucked us last night.
Right. But Mr. O'Neill poses a lot of good questions. He connects a lot of dots. Now, I give him credit. He says he doesn't really answer any of these questions. It's not...
So he spent 20 years on dick?
Well, you're not going to be able to really connect these dots and get 100% proof on any of his theories.
You think?
But there is definitely some smoke, and there's a lot of things that aren't right in Denmark with this story.
Literally in Denmark, or is that an expression that I don't know?
Expression. Yeah, it's
I'm young.
Expression. You are. You fucking millennials.
I don't know shit about the Dutch.
But it's a fascinating book. Fascinating read or listen, however you take in your books these days. I'm lazy, so I listen.
Pop up.
We're not talking about your penis.
I wouldn't call that a pop.
More of a slight whimper up. But
that's the noise it makes. It goes.
Basically, the whole gist of the book is we don't know the whole story. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes in these murders in the Manson family.
Do you think that this guy found his life to be really unsatisfying by spending 20 years on this and not actually answering any questions?
Well, no, I don't know. He doesn't prove anything 100%, but like I just said or a few minutes ago, you can't prove this 100%.
So he's like George R.R. Martin.
Right.
For true crime.
I mean, most of these people are dead, but there are a lot of inconsistencies in the story. Most people, I believe the DA, Bugiosi, wrote a book, Helter Skelter. Which,
Welcome. Sorry, we have a new fan. I don't want to say fan. You're probably going to fucking hate us. We're terrible people.
Thank you. Welcome. We're glad. We love first-time listeners.
Go Fast Racing. I wonder if that's Brendan Schaub.
I don't know. Maybe. But
Is that his new YouTube, like all gas, go fast, drive fast, or some shit?
Yeah, I don't know. But there is a lot more to the Manson family in these murders than meets the eye. And
Oh, yeah.
there is like I was saying, the book Helter Skelter, which was the number one true crime book of all time. It might still be. I don't know. It sold more copies than anything. Maybe probably not any longer, but apparently that is a bunch of horse shit.
I don't know if I want to go there.
What? Go.
I had a thought, like, would the Diary of Anne Frank be considered true crime? Because I feel like that would outdo it.
No, I don't think.
It fucking should be.
No, I don't think it would be true crime. That'd be historical. I guess, I don't know. I don't think it classifies. Well, for one, it can't be true crime. Will we ever cover Anne Frank?
Yeah.
Will we do an episode on Anne Frank?
I mean, we could involve her in one. I don't know, like, how much can you talk about?
I mean, I guess we could do a Adolf Hitler and Nazi episode and kind of include
an Elon Hitler episode.
Watch it now. Hey, he's going after the corrupt everything. Which
I've got the technology, so now I have the job.
Speaking of that, if a third of what he's finding, we have been wasting some serious damn money, kids.
No, the U.S. government's has not been forthright about their spending of money.
It goes way past $100,000 for a toilet bowl brush. Anyway, so like I said, Manson family, murders, drugs, we got it all here. I love it.
That's the episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
And we are going to cover a little bit of Manson's past, his early days, what led
He's
up.
an Ohio boy.
Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana.
This whole shitty region of the country.
He did live in Cincinnati for a brief stint. But we'll get into all that. Now we covered MK Ultra, which makes an appearance in this episode because that's the CIA.
It's kind of
we covered that we did a whole episode on MK Ultra, and so some of those characters will make an appearance here as well. Just for
it kind of seems like everything that fucked up that happened between like the early 60s and the late 70s is oftentimes related to MK Ultra.
Well, let's just go ahead and start there. So
great jumping off point.
Was Manson a product of the CIA, there we go, mind control program, MK Ultra, which for those who've never heard of it, you're in for a really nice ride here. The mind control program did not use, they did use federal prisons to find their subjects. Basically, it was a program to try to get or find the ability to brainwash somebody, like a Manchurian candidate type situation, where they could get somebody to commit a crime and have no memory of it.
I would like to voice my opinion as yes, I think he was. I'm going to say that now.
Okay.
Because I am King Conspiracy.
Way to blow your load early in the episode.
I've been pretty open about that.
Okay.
There's a lot of evidence pointing towards it that I'm sure that we're going to get into.
Now, the program ran from the early 50s to the early to mid 70s. And it is 100% fact they had Senate or congressional hearings on this because there was a whistleblower. The CIA tried to hide it. They shredded paperwork.
Did they? I
believe this is a church. There were actually a couple hearings. A church hearing was the most famous one.
Was there ever an identification of that whistleblower?
I do not know that for sure.
Did they never release his name?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
But excuse me. The program used many techniques to alter the subject's state of mind and their behavior. LSD played a ginormous role in this.
Hell yeah.
LSD is one of those drugs that I find it fascinating. Some people can take it and have a great trip, never really experience, or have a bad experience or have bad repercussions of it. Other people can take it one time and they're fucked for life.
I mean, I didn't have what I would say is a lot of experiences, but I never had a bad experience.
I've never done LSD. Like I said, we talked about this before. I would love to do me some DMT, but I'm good for a 15-minute roll, an 8 to 15 hour state of.
Well, I've never done the drug.
You never done LSD?
I've done literature, science, and duty to my people.
Okay, elaborate.
I'm just trying to cover my ass here.
Okay.
Yes, I've done fucking acid before.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was actually going to say, what the fuck? You've never.
I still remember the last time I did acid. Yesterday? It was a long time ago. Yesterday? No, it was a long time ago. I haven't done any of this shit in many, many years.
Maybe.
But no, I did acid with some friends.
Did you have was your psyche or your behavior?
I only did one tap.
So you really didn't have like a.
No.
It didn't fuck you up for life.
No.
I mean, some people use it one time and they're drooling for the remainder of their days.
Yeah. It's all within control. But no, I remember me and a couple friends did acid, and we were smoking a bunch of weed at the kitchen table. Used to have a big fucking wooden bowl from somewhere in South America that was for guts for rolling blunts. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We did that, and then it was like totally fine, just having a good chill time, like laughing, having a gay old time like the Flintstones, and then like nothing was going on, and then I was like, I have to go to the bathroom, and I got up, and that's when it fucking slid in on me. It was like,
you sure? Are we still talking LSD, or are we talking something else?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We're gonna get that. We're gonna talk about Charlie, is what slid into me. I am his man-son.
All 5'2" of him.
Is that how tall he was?
Yeah, he was Tom Cruise height, or he was only. I think he was only 5'2".
Yeah, but unlike Tom Cruise, he didn't have a tooth in the middle of his face.
There is one. We were supposed to do this episode a week earlier than what we did, but I came across some. Well, I was sick, but I also came across something.
New evidence.
A new area in this topic.
A breakthrough.
Not a breakthrough, but I wanted to look into it, and I'll mention it in the episode, but it was a real letdown.
Oh, so anyway, you Jim Morrison to this thing?
Yeah, kind of.
You broke on through to the other side?
Yeah, but
speaking of acid,
but there was nothing on the other side.
So anyway, I'm doing drugs as a young man, and like I said, everything was fine. And then I went to get up from the table because I was like, I got to pee. Chevy got to go pee. And I got up, and like at that point, it like, and like everything, all flat surfaces, it was like they stayed at the same level they were at while I was seated, and which is accurate. I don't know, like that's actually what happens when you stand up from a table. Yeah. But it was almost like the flat surfaces and environment around me went like almost 2-dimensional, and I continued to live in a 3-dimensional world. And then the bathroom had like this weird, I don't know what to call the wallpaper, but it had like almost like, I don't know, like French Renaissance-y filigree-esque type designs on it. That was an enjoyable time. Those were pretty intense. They were active. The mirror's always a good time.
Oh, I bet.
You look into your own fucking soul. It's like when fucking Keanu Reeves looks into the eyes of a fucking feline. That was an intense experience. I was in that bathroom for a hot minute.
I bet.
And I was not urinating for all of it. It was quite an experience. That experience was not as enjoyable. Well, I don't want to say enjoyable. They were all enjoyable, but not as interesting as baby Hawaiian wood rose seeds.
Yeah.
Another hallucinogen that nobody's fucking heard of. Did those one time. Took 3 times as many as the guy that gave them to me told me to take. I was committed.
Do me a favor, look at the live stream, make sure I didn't just turn off the audio. Hold with us, folks.
Give it a minute. Okay,
we're good.
Wait.
Yep, we're good.
We're good.
Okay.
We were infiltrated by the United States government last night, and they destroyed our technology.
Well, I keep a lot of things. There's a lot of things here muted. I had muted, and this wasn't mute, or this wasn't muted, and I would just, it could cause some feedback, some static if I didn't do it.
Go ahead.
But I did. The only experience I've had with LSD.
Jesus Christ.
What?
And apparently, this Go Fast Racing knows somebody who ate a briefcase of acid sugar cubes unknowingly. That shit'll fuck you up.
That must have been a party.
That much. Whoo. That'll reroute some fucking brain patterns right there.
You got some issues.
End up like the kid from SLC Punk. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh God, he's like selling acid and he's running from the cops and fucking he's got it in his pocket and the sprinkler system turns on and it like absorbs into his leg and he's just like fucking tweaked for the rest of his life. I can't say that I had any adverse effects from any of the hallucinogenic drugs that I've done in my life.
The only experience I've had with LSD or acid, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. I used to work on the dock loading trucks.
Oh, good. This is a good start for an acid story.
Back when I was
around heavy equipment,
fork trucks and loading trucks.
Was he certified?
No, this is like 94, 95.
Were you certified?
I'm certifiable, but no, we didn't do certification.
See if you were
fork truck certification.
Certified, forklift certified pussy monster.
Yeah, but it involved building skids of merchandise, wrapping them, and loading them into said truck.
I'd like to see some of the deliveries that these people got. Fuck.
And there was a young man, younger than me at the time by about probably 2 years, had a bit of a drug problem apparently. But one night he came in, it was third shift. Did third shift, and he came in tripping balls.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It was, and people, I'm not the calm guy that you see. I was not always the calm, gentle man that you see before you.
I hope you were that night because that.
Back in my younger days,
that young man's whole life up that night.
Back in my younger days, I was a bit. You moved very carefully.
It's fine. It's fine.
Back in my younger days, I was a bit more hot-headed than I am now.
Weren't we all?
And I didn't really have much of a filter.
With a pH.
We were loading this truck. He was tripping balls in. They got those shitty lights that shine in there so you could see. And he was tripping. He was aggravating me so much. I about stuffed him in between two skip pallets.
See, that's when you just gotta let go and let God and just accept the hilarity that's happening around you.
I was like, and that's probably why I never did LSD.
Hallucinogenics will make you do some strange stuff, man.
All right.
It's just like the last time I did mushrooms. The one thing we were told to not do on these mushrooms, because it was an experimentation. We were testing the mushrooms.
You were doing it for science.
We were testing the mushrooms.
Make sure they were good. Let me try some of these and make sure they're good. Okay.
And the one thing the guy said, he was like, don't drive, because they're very strong. They were what they call gold caps. So we had a quarter for free for experimentation purposes. This was scientific research funded by Johns Hopkins University, Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering, blazing that shit up. We instantly drove. Yeah. It didn't hit us yet because we drove to the park, because the park is the place to be on fucking mushrooms.
I have to say this. Go Fast Racing, you're talking about the entire briefcase of acid sugar. It was a 5-year-old kid, by the way.
Oh yeah, that dude's fucked for life. His brain will never work right.
Jesus, I can't believe. If I did that, I'd probably be brain dead, even more so than I already am.
If you're you got spinal issues too, so you'd be double fucked.
The kid, he says, or I guess she,
give it time,
whatever you are, they're Mr. or Mrs. Go Fast.
Yeah, until they pop their back the wrong way and it re-releases fucking. I don't even know what the chemical compound name of LSD is.
Go Fast says the kid turned out all right.
Allegedly, that can happen.
That kid is a superhero.
Yeah,
an X-Man.
Oh, there's been a lot of people that have done a lot of acid, incidentally or on purpose.
Well, we know Charlie Manson did a lot of acid.
Fuck yeah,
or
he
did he? That we will talk about that.
Oh, he did. He 100. Did you see the way he dressed?
Hold on, Charlie was a smart guy. We'll get into it, but let's talk about the early life of Charles.
He looked like a dirty beetle.
Well, everybody in the '60s looked like a dirty beetle.
He was a dirty beach boy.
For kind of.
Didn't he sue the fuck out of them and not win? What lawyer's taking that case? I'm like, Charlie, I don't think they're going to give you this one.
It might have been after he was in prison. I don't know.
And look at you. You just rotted in jail till you died, and John Stamos got all the Beach Boys fame.
But Charlie was born November 12th, 1934, to a troubled family. His mother, Ida Kathleen Maddox, was a 15-year-old sex worker, criminal. Was not the start of not the way to start a life.
Yeah, that sucks.
Charlie never knew his father, but apparently his father was a Colonel Walker Henderson Scott Sr.
Fuck you for having 4 names.
And he was not in the Army.
Wait, hold on. Fuck you for having 4 names and then bestowing that responsibility onto the junior.
Yes.
Don't you have to take on the entire... Jesus Christ.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Don't you have to take on the entire name to be a junior? We don't want any. Hey, it worked. We're finding out all kinds of shit about the technology that we use to do this bullshit show that we call a podcast.
Using my phone as the webcam, and somebody's calling me.
Well, the quality of your phone is phenomenal.
Well, where was I? Oh,
sex worker,
Colonel Walker Henderson Scott. He had a reputation as a bit of a con man. Like I said, he was not in. He just called himself Colonel, kind of like Colonel Parker.
I'm an idiot. That's only 3 names. Colonel's not a name.
Well,
wait, was Colonel his name?
It was his part of his name. Yes, you are correct. He had 4 names.
What are you fucking Kool-Aid McKentry?
Yeah. When he was informed of Ida's
sluttiness,
Ida's soon to be expecting.
Oh, pregnancy.
Yes.
I take that back. I don't feel like you can call it sluttiness when a 15-year-old is forced into sex work. I feel like that's unfortunately forced survival.
I think you're correct. You're correct. I can't argue. I can't even play devil's advocate on that.
So basically what we're saying is like we're starting off hot for Charlie here.
Charlie was doomed from conception.
Like Charlie wasn't even fucked from Jump Street.
Like I said,
Charlie was fucked from the stoop that was on Jump Street.
Colonel Walker was a con man. He jumped town as soon as he found out she was pregnant. Manson never knew. Manson never knew or met the colonel.
I mean, arguably not a bad thing considering what we just said.
Right. Right before Charlie's birth, Ida married William Eugene Manson.
Eugene?
He was a laborer at a dry cleaning business. So
he did dry cleaning.
Like, I remember this was 34. I don't know even if 34 that was a really considered a great job.
Could you imagine the chemicals that they were using back then?
His mother
put the mercury on the fucking garment and shut your mouth, Eugene.
His mother Maddox spent most of her time drinking, I believe, with a brother or cousin. I can't remember.
That's good.
And often left young Charlie with numerous babysitters.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
The couple finally divorced in April of 1937.
So this chick had a fucking kid out of wedlock and was divorced by the time she was 18, give or take?
18, 19, yeah.
Damn, killing it.
William...
Fuck you, suck a dick, Kim Kardashian. Get on her level.
William Manson alleged gross neglect by Maddox, and that is why he left. Here's my problem. It wasn't your son, I get it, but you're the only father figure this young, impressionable boy had, and you just said, fuck it, I'm out because your mom is neglecting the shit out of you. He just left.
He Scarfaced it from how high. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. He looked at his hamster, he said, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out.
So obviously, Mr. William Manson was not a good Samaritan.
No.
He bailed. He hit the eject button.
Yeah, like that's kind of fucked up.
I mean, I don't blame him for hitting the eject button one bit. But maybe, I don't know, if the child is being neglected, why don't you take the kid with you? Of course, he's, like I said, 37, I don't know, different times. I wasn't around there. I know it looks like I was, but I wasn't.
Your Honor, she's neglecting the boy. Would you like to take responsibility of this young, forming life that has the potential to have a great future ahead of him? Fuck that. No, I don't want him either. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the neglect. I'm just saying I want out of this fucking marriage. She's drunk right now.
August of 1939, Kathleen or Ida, whatever, I don't know which you actually went.
Charles Manson's mom,
Mommy Dearest, was arrested for assault and robbery and sentenced to 5 to 10 years.
Damn, how fucking bad did she assault the shit out of somebody? Or what did she steal? I feel like in 1939, like 5 to 10 years for assault and robbery. Assault leading to death.
Manson was placed in a home of an aunt and uncle in the great state of West by God, Virginia.
Which one fucked them?
Now, I should say, Manson was born, I believe, in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
She they lived in Kentucky.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah, so, I mean, he does have ties. I mean, he might have lived here for a little bit, but we'll get to it. He spent a lot of time in a lot of states as a young child under the institution, we might say. When his mother got out of prison, they reunited and bounced around from West Virginia to Indiana.
Both suck.
I don't know which is worse. I have an opinion.
They both have nice things about them, but I'm assuming that he was not present in any of them.
I'll say it. I'm favorable to one and fuck the other one. I'll let you be the judge.
Sensitive.
But he was basically his youth. He was basically in foster homes because Ida was a piece of shit. Reform schools and juvenile detention centers. Charles was always in trouble for truancy and petty theft. Stealing lollipops and shit like that, and truancy and all that kind of good stuff. He committed petty crimes and then escalated to armed robbery, car theft, and other serious offenses fairly early.
Which kind of sounds like Akon.
He ended up in the Guybolt School for Boys in Terre Haute, Indiana. The school was ran by a Catholic priest, or the Catholic Church. 1948,
stinky.
Manson committed his first documented serious crime. It's probably the wrong verbiage to use, but he went up to he went from the minors or AAA or AA to AAA.
Did he chop off the dick of the Catholic priest that was sodomizing him?
No, he robbed a grocery store.
We're not in the 50s yet. We're in 48. He robbed a grocery store?
Right. He robbed a grocery store and got some...
Did he take some ramen?
Yeah. Let's see. He was sent to a juvenile facility in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, God.
I mean, I'm not going to go through his entire childhood.
Every detail.
Him and his friend ran away several times. They stole a car and I believe went to Illinois to his friend's uncle's house, who was also a fucking criminal.
I mean... the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and the tree has branches, so I can't say I'm too surprised by this fact.
So they had him doing armed robberies and shit like that. He eventually ended up
Bonnie and Clyde in his way through town with his fucking friend.
He eventually ended up in the Indiana Boys School in Plainfield, Indiana.
Sounds like shit.
At this reform school, this is where people might have heard this. There was some, how should we say, what we normally think happens in, boys' schools, reform.
He got American Mead.
Yes.
Great film. If you've never seen it, watch it. Although I will say...
Or Charlie claimed that this is where he was assaulted.
Butt stuff.
Raped by other boys, and this plagued him. I don't want to say plagued him, but it's.
I would have to say that it probably did.
Charles swang both ways, and this is probably the start.
So did I think Carl Panzram,
right?
America's first serial killer.
Manson ran away from
upcoming episode, possibly. Never. I don't think we've done Carl Panzram.
I don't think we have.
He's a mean son of a bitch. Holy fuck.
Manson ran away from this boy's school, whatever.
Good.
18 times.
I think that lends credence to this assault that we're talking about.
So basically, the point is, I'm going to fast forward here a lot. Charles was in trouble from the time he was 14, 15 years old.
It's kind of a repeating cycle for like 10 years or so, wasn't it? More so. Yeah. Get in trouble, go to fucking boys' school, get in trouble, go to jail, get in trouble, go to juvie, go to...
Yeah. Now, when he was released officially, when the murders happened in 1969. He was released March 21st, 1967, at the age of 32 years old. That was his last time in prison until after the murders. He was convicted of it.
And up to that point, he was just doing a bunch of little dumb petty shit. He had been locked up, but he had been locked up like
I'll get into
fucking a dozen thousand times.
But by the age of 32, he had spent half his life in prison. So 16 years in prison. Now,
well, and you can even argue more so because of the boys' schools and shit.
Now, funny thing is, I might mention this, or I might double up on this, but when he went to prison in 1967, or he was serving, when he got out in 1967, he was serving, I believe, a 7 to 10 year stint. He got out early. They paroled him. He was in for, and this is important, he was convicted in the late 50s of check forgery. He stole a check out of a $35 check out of a mailbox.
Worth? Well, yeah, I guess back then, probably.
He was convicted of that and went to prison for it. Now, this is important. Charlie, outside of the boys' school, Charlie was only in federal prisons. Once he got into prison life, he wasn't in state prisons. He was in federal prison. This is important to the story.
I'm holding what I want to say for later.
But he, like I said, he got paroled in, like, I believe 60 for this check charge. He went to fucking Mexico. He was on parole. Went to Mexico and took a job.
He super trooped it. You boys like Mexico?
And the dumbass didn't ask permission.
Well, he probably thought he was just going to disappear in Mexico.
Right. But when he broke parole, he violated parole, we went and got his ass from the federales. Had the federales get him, bring him back to Texas. And they shipped him back, and he went out and served 7 years.
I'm really leaning into this whole thing. But
this is important. His final stint in prison before... I'm going to say his final stint in prison, or pre-murders, he was in jail serving out the rest of his sentence for violating parole. So I think this was 60. He got out and they finally paroled him again in March of 67 and sent him to L.A. to live in L.A. and start with that parole.
Go be an actor.
Now, a fun fact, and this is what I came across that I wanted to dive into, and it led to absolutely nothing.
Shook you to your core.
I was like, well, this explains a lot. Is while Manson was in prison, he was introduced to Scientology.
Oh, God. Cult. Right there. Check.
In the 1950s and early 60s, there are reports suggesting that he was introduced to Scientology while serving time at McNeil Island.
Did they say by who?
I don't think so. Some accounts indicate that he even reached the state of clear within the Scientology framework. There is no formal documentation of it to support this claim, which I would say, no shit. If I'm not mistaken from our Scientology episodes, it costs a lot of money to get to that level.
Yeah,
it's all about the Benjamins.
It's a triangle. It's a pyramid scheme cult.
Now, I don't know if Scientology does a prison discount. Or how many cigarettes do you have to barter to
Right,
get
that's what I immediately thought. I was like, is there a Scientology gang?
I don't know.
Do they like beef with the Muslims?
You got the AB and the Scientologists duking it out.
Imagine
each other.
Imagine those gang signs. What kind of stupid fucking tattoos are they getting?
But there is no. I got really excited about this. To link this to L. Ron Hubbard. Maybe he had something to do with the dive down this conspiracy hole. With L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology and the Tate LaBianca murders. We could have been onto something.
Maybe Charlie Manson hitched a ride on one of those boats that L. Ron Hubbard used to blow up fucking populated islands and absolutely nothing.
When he shot the shit out of a log.
Nothing. Oh, when he shot nothing?
Yes.
When he shot a known magnetic or opened up warfare on a known magnetic anomaly in the Pacific, you fucking idiot. Literally, he's like, we're going to war. They're like, dude, we're just taking the boat somewhere else. That's it. This is a training exercise.
Right.
This is not war games. Chill out, Kelsey Grammer.
Okay, now this is where the story gets interesting. This is where the book Chaos comes into play. Manson was released early from prison in 1967. Like I said, was doing his parole in Los Angeles. Despite a lengthy criminal record, Manson was, like I said, paroled in 1967. In the real world, when a parolee violates his parole, he or she goes back to jail, which he went back to jail as well. Yeah. Or he went back to jail, that his last stint for breaking parole or violating parole. He broke parole the first fucking day out.
I feel like most parolees probably do.
Day one, because he left L.A. and went to San Francisco.
Without permission.
So, because a lot of the book states that possibly somebody was protecting Charlie. Because
these might be the points.
We're going to go through the time. We're going to hit the timeline a little bit. Pre murders. He violates parole multiple times with some serious charges.
Yeah.
And never goes back to jail.
Yeah.
So
and if he does, it's like an overnighter.
So somebody, there is a theory, there is possible proof that somebody wanted him on the outside.
He's the Hunter Biden of the 60s.
But like I said, he violated on the first day, went to, the hippie scene was big. That's the birth of it was in San Francisco. And we're talking
Haight-Ashbury, babes.
1967, we're prime non-showering hippie time.
It smells like fucking Munda cheese and feet all over San Fran.
Smells like Teen Spirit right there.
Well played.
However, let's see.
It smells like gorgonzola and sweat.
Let's kind of talk about a little bit of let's see this about him. Yeah. So he headed to San Francisco the very same day he was released. Without permission, he was sent back he should have been sent back to prison that day.
Yeah.
They never violated his parole. Other crimes that he was picked up on in the 2 years, drugs, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. In that particular case, in a sexual way.
Oh, good.
The question is, was he an informant? This is the kind of behavior or evidence that shows possibly an informant of some sort.
Mm-hmm. A CI.
But somebody definitely was, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into this because it gets really weird even after the murders, like a week after the murders. It gets fucking weird. So
let's get weird.
Let's talk a little bit about the formation of the Manson family
cult.
Upon his release, like I said, Manson moved to San Francisco to the Haight-Ashbury district, a hotbed of the hippie movement.
Yes.
This is where he gained followers, mostly women, by using a mix of drugs, sex, and psychological manipulation.
Go on. I will hold my... How good could the sex have been?
How stinky could the sex have been?
That's what I'm saying. You had to be able to smell these orgies from, like, the fucking... I don't know. What's the closest mountain range? The Rockies?
I think there's a mountain range.
Some desert shit?
Between Nevada and, LA, but I don't know.
The fuck off mountains, whatever. It wasn't a good one. Couldn't think of anything. Honestly, don't know. Probably should know. I'm an adult man.
Now, I'll probably talk about this later, but I'll mention it now. The Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in the Haight-Ashbury district was a free clinic ran. I might have it in here somewhere, by the government or by a government-related business. Was
it Anthony Fauci?
Probably to give. I think it was just
drugs to people.
Ran by I believe his name was Doug Smith, and it was
sounds like a cover up.
It was basically to give medical care to the hippies, these teenage runaways, and a lot of these hippies in San Francisco were teenage runaways and shit like that. They wanted them to have health care.
Fuck that. Send them to Guantanamo.
Okay, Trump. Now, there was a man by the name of Roger Smith.
You got to Guantanamo go. If he doesn't say that in a fucking speech, I will be pissed.
But Roger Smith was a parole officer who ended up being Charles' parole officer while he was in San Francisco. Now, there is some people that it's kind of iffy whether or not he might have met Charlie in Illinois when he was in one of the federal penitentiaries, because he was
when he was on tour.
Roger Smith was also studying to get his graduate degree in drug use.
Wait.
Well, like testing, with drugs and he was doing his, I guess,
pharmacology.
No, the effects of things like LSD and on the human brain.
Oh, like a thesis.
Yes, I don't think it was his doctorate, but
okay, got it.
He was doing this and working for the federal prison system at the same time. He went to Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic.
He said Ashbury.
Ashbury.
Idiot.
To do more research on the drug culture.
Mm-hmm.
And he also did his parole work there as well. So he had an officer, and Charlie was his parolee. So Charlie, when he met these girls, hanging and banging, naturally there was probably some unwanted pregnancies and some fire crotches going on both sexes. So he was killing two birds, one stone, baby. Getting some penicillin and seeing his parole officer.
Two birds stoned at once.
Now, a fun fact of this Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, you know who else had an office there? Take a guess.
L. Ron Hubbard.
No. Mr. Jolly West. Do you remember who Jolly West is?
I know the name.
MK Ultra.
Oh.
He was doing research.
These fucking episodes get hard to call back to after a while, man.
This is where the MK Ultra, was he a CIA experiment gone wrong? There's even more evidence I'll get to in a little bit. So there was all kind of drugs coming in and out of this clinic, just not penicillin and whatever.
That was mostly going out.
Yeah. So Manson, not only does he break parole again by going back to LA, and nobody put him back into prison.
Nothing happened.
But the family, the kids,
his churns.
But let's go with this. Yeah, I'm sorry. He went back to LA, and this is where he, got into the Hollywood scene, got into the music scene.
Oh, this is when he got entangled with Brad Pitt.
No, with what's his name from the Beatles. This is and he did.
Which one?
It was the drummer.
Ringo.
No, that's the Beatles, Jackwagon.
That's what you said.
No. Did I
the
say
Beach Boys?
The Beach Boys. Did I say the Beatles?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he did love the Beatles.
He did.
You know, he was fascinated with Helter Skelter, hence we'll cover that too. But this is where Wilson, was it David Wilson?
I don't know.
Well, he's
the only drummer that matters from the Beach Boys is fucking, what's his tits?
From the Beach Boys?
Uncle Danny. Or not Uncle Danny, Uncle Jesse.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
He's been their drummer for like 30-something years. John Stamos, he has.
After Dave Wilson died.
Yeah, well.
I think Wilson died.
Well, he died, you know, he did not die in vain. They upgraded.
Now, Charlie was an aspiring...
They got a Greek god.
Charlie was an aspiring musician. And did write some songs.
Yeah.
And Wilson was going... He hung out with Wilson. They wrote music together, and Wilson was trying to get him... One of his songs... He said the Beach Boys would record one of their songs, and they...
I'm pretty sure they did.
No, the rest of the boys from the beach said, this fucking sucks. No, what kind of LSD you been doing there, Wilson? They said, no, we ain't doing it. He also introduced him to Terry Melcher, I believe, who was a record producer, also the son of Cincinnati's own Doris Day.
I didn't know Doris Day was from Cincinnati.
Yes, she's from Cincinnati. So they were partying with the Hollywood elites. They were partying with rock stars.
What an interesting time.
He supplied his female followers to
the Beach Boys?
The Beach Boys. Actually, who was it? I actually heard one of his songs.
I did too. I
think it was it Necronomicon that played it?
Maybe.
It wasn't completely horrible.
It fit the bill for that time period.
He wasn't a horrible singer. I mean, he sang better than Bob fucking Dylan. It wasn't a horrible song. It was decent. I mean, it wasn't.
I wouldn't put it on the playlist.
No, I'm not going to be humming it all day. Right. It wasn't going to win a Grammy.
I'm not going to be fucking jamming it on the way to work in the morning.
But maybe that was just the mere fact that, this is Charlie Manson singing the song.
And you're just surprised by the fact that you're like, it doesn't suck fat dick.
It's all right. It's pretty good damn karaoke type shit.
It's not terrible, but it's definitely no killer.
It's
suck it.
I mean, it was something. I mean, I was shocked that it was much better than I thought it would be. Oh. Knowing how crazy he was, or seeing how whacked out of his mind he was.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s and early 2000s.
The fact that he was just fucked.
So eventually
his brain didn't work.
The family settled at Spawn Ranch as their living arrangement.
Wasn't that like a movie studio type deal?
It was
a movie like
set.
Yeah.
It was used for a lot of the old West, the Westerns movies.
Why didn't somebody just call fucking John Wayne to come beat his ass?
Because I think John probably was ate up with cancer.
All I know is even with cancer, Rooster Cogburn is fucking Charles Manson up. He's the size of one of these bobbleheads.
That's true. Now, let's go ahead and jump right to August 8th and 9th or start with August 8th of 1969. This was the start. Well, technically it wasn't the start.
That's the culmination.
This is the day one of the 2-day murder event, or the 2-day murder spree that he went on.
Well, for sure.
He planned.
Yes. He blueprinted.
And he was at one of the scenes.
He was the mighty architect.
But on August 8th is the day that they murdered Sharon Tate and her friends at Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski's home.
Who was not there.
He was in London.
Roman Polanski's a whole another fucking can of worms.
The key participants of the Manson family was good old Tex Watson.
Tex. He was the son of a bitch.
He was a high school football star from Texas. Came out and got whacked out of his mind on drugs and was seduced by the hippie movement and Charles Manson. Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel.
Stupid.
And
Krenwinkel,
what the fuck ever.
And the other one that everybody
Linda
knows.
Kasabian.
Yeah.
They arrived at Cielo Drive, home of Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski that evening.
You think the fucking Star Tours stop at that house?
I don't think the house is there anymore.
And on your right,
they tore it down, I believe.
Is a bloodbath.
Who was it?
There is actually, I'm pretty sure, Hollywood horrors too.
Actually, I'm trying to think. What's his name from Nine Inch Nails? Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
He bought the house.
Sick.
And him and Marilyn Manson lived in it for a while. And they recorded an album there.
That sounds right.
But I think they have torn the house down since then.
They probably did that because Marilyn Manson lived there.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson might be one of the few people on the face of the earth that might have smelled worse than Charles Manson and his people.
I hear he's a very nice man. Matter of fact,
minus the sexual assault charges.
I was in my research for this. I was listening to Tom O'Neill. He was on a podcast, and Manson naturally was fascinated with Manson.
Yeah,
and he actually met Marilyn Manson, and he was invited to his house, and they spent the night there. Just shooting the shit about Manson. Manson had a recording that he thought,
you have to stay now because the sun's coming up, and
he said Marilyn Manson is not what you think he would. He's much.
He's a lot more intelligent than people think he would be.
Wicked smart, and he's kind of normal for all things considered.
Yeah, like Macaulay Culkin.
Right. You wouldn't think his persona
precedes him.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get to
most metal people, though.
Let's get to the victims. Sharon Tate was the pregnant actress that was murdered that night. Jay Sebring, a celebrity hairstylist who was heterosexual, I believe,
and the designer of one hell of a convertible vehicle.
Wojciech Frykowski, I don't know who he was. Abigail Folger, who is of
Folger fame.
Yes, the heir to the Folger coffee. Steve Parent, a visitor who was shot in a car. He was the first to actually die. Watson led the attack following Manson's orders to totally, and I'm quoting here, totally destroy everyone.
You think there's a Folgers commercial playing in the background when all this happened?
Yeah.
The best part of waking up is getting fucking murdered.
Basically, how this happened, they naturally had a long drive. They got to the home. Tex climbed a telephone pole.
Sick.
Cut the phone line.
Where the fuck are they getting this information? Well, I guess there are probably a lot less wires at the time. Probably pretty easy to trace. And we're in the Hollywood Hills.
There's another little story that I'll get to at some point about
Why don't you just do it from the house?
I don't know.
Idiot.
But they jumped. I guess it was a long driveway. It had embankments. They jumped the shrubbery and was coming up the driveway.
Fought the Knights That Say Knee.
Coming up the driveway, and I believe it was Parent was in a car leaving.
That was my question. He was shot in the car?
He was stabbed and shot. I think he stabbed and shot.
Was the car a Chrysler Sebring?
Why you gotta be an asshole? It wasn't.
Because maybe Jay Sebring's involved in this.
No.
He got crossfired.
No. And from there, they went.
No, not that. I'm not saying cut the phone line after. I'm saying, why wouldn't you
just cut it at the house?
Yeah.
Well, then they might get spotted. I don't know.
I wonder if he did it like the fucking how people pick coconuts in Pacific Islands. Have you ever seen them motherfuckers? They put a band around their feet and they run up the fucking tree. It's incredible. It's terrifying. Makes my asshole pucker every time I watch it.
Oh, that's why I just had a brain fart.
We were at Chrysler Sebring.
No, we were not. From here, they went in the house and proceeded to pretty much kill everybody.
Just a little. just a little killing.
Sharon Tate, like I said, was pregnant at the time. She was begging for her unborn child's life. They stabbed her several times, and they even hung her from the banister, which I forget how many times 16 to 20 times they stabbed her.
Sounds like a mayhem.
But actually, I believe her actual cause of death was from the hanging and bleeding out naturally. But when she was hung from the banister, she was still alive.
See, these are those moments where I'm like, who cares?
Now,
not that that's not terrible, but like, just dead.
Who did most of the killing is up for debate.
I understood that it was Tex Watson.
Tex Watson is believed to actually be the one who killed pretty much everybody.
And I believe Linda Kasabian too, right?
Well, originally Linda Kasabian said she was the one who killed Sharon Tate, stabbed her 16 times.
She was the one that was fucking kind of batshit, right?
Yeah, and I think she was actually turned state's evidence on the rest of them.
Pussy. I'm just saying, like, they should all be put in prison for the rest of their lives. But I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna walk the walk or talk the talk, walk the fucking walk. Over here taking sides.
But Tex is really the one. He was the mastermind, and he did a majority of it. He was whacked out of his mind on drugs.
Yeah, weren't they actively like
they were
out of their gourds when they did this?
They were tripping balls, as well. At least Tex was.
What the fuck? Like, what kind of life do you live that you can do hallucinogens and murder people?
I don't know.
There had to be like one chick that never got mentioned in the court case that just got cried in the corner.
Like I was saying, Kasabian originally bragged about doing it when she was arrested, but I think it turns out Tex, like I said, did most of it.
Because she was it her and Susan Atkins or just Linda Kasabian that had like the thing going on?
I don't think Kasabian had that. I think it was the other two that were, skipping.
They kind of had like that dopey Harley Quinn kind of thing going on.
Atkins wrote "pig" in Tate's blood on the door, adding to the ritualistic nature of the killings. Now let's jump to the next night. Now we'll kind of cover the pig thing a little bit.
It's like the meaning behind it.
Yes, which is kind of basically Helter Skelter, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. I might go into a little bit more detail. Was Manson had been preaching Helter Skelter, which was a race war was coming. And they
ended up in the right place for that thought process.
Basically, the plan was they were going to start, according to Helter Skelter theory, by the DA.
With freaking lasers attached to their heads.
They were going to start this race war because the Black Panthers were big in San Francisco. Yeah. And there was the whole government and Black Panther thing was a thing.
Yeah. All that shit still is a thing. It just happened again in Ohio.
And apparently there was a thing called the White Panthers, which I did not know. These were white people that supported the Black Panthers.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say, if this is like an opposing group, then that's not very original.
There were some famous Hollywood people. Some of these people, maybe Sharon Tate, I don't know, but it is reported that some of the people in the house that were murdered in the Tate house were members of the White Panther Party.
You almost took that the other direction.
And there was some celebrities. I think Warren Beatty was a member. So this was a big movement to support the Black Panther Party. Or I don't know if they're technically a party, not a political party, or like a group or whatever.
They had one in Forrest Gump. Because that's still one of my favorite lines. Sorry I ruined your Black Panther Party. He beat the fuck out of that dude.
So the Helter Skelter murder theory is that he did these murders to spark, and he wrote "pig" to basically try to frame the Black Panthers and start these murders would start, and the next night, which we'll cover, would start the race war. They would go to the desert, and once basically everybody kills themselves, the Manson family would rise from the desert and take over.
So cult shit.
Right. Now, I will say this. It is definite Manson preached this, but how much he actually believed it, there, like I said, there are some holes in the helter-skelter theory.
Let's be real.
Gaping holes.
A lot of...
like several of my exes.
Low-hanging fruit.
I know. I'm so bad.
And that's coming from me.
So that is the theory of why, or that is why the prosecution,
because
they made that jump.
Most leaders of cult groups don't fucking believe the rhetoric that they push onto people.
Right.
Much like you can make the argument that, I'm not going to say most, but there's definitely a lot of religious figures. That might be the wrong terminology, but for lack of a better term, religious figures across the world and across the board as far as denomination. Is that the word?
Yeah, I believe so.
Whatever the fuck. That also don't fucking believe the shit that they preach.
Right.
Anything to not pay taxes.
So this was when they wrote the word pig, that is the prosecution made this leap, and that was their theory.
What if they interviewed him and one of the girls was like, I just thought she was a fat bitch?
We'll go fast as talking about the drug debts. There is some conspiracy theories that I believe two of the name I couldn't pronounce,
Frykowski
and Parent, I believe. I know Frykowski was a drug dealer.
See,
J.C. Sebring, I think Wachowski was Sebring's buddy, and they were involved in drugs. Some people have stated that there is a theory that this was a drug deal gone wrong.
I don't know, but I bet you Frykowski, if they were alive today, they'd be a hell of a white basketball player.
Maybe.
Just judging by the name.
And we'll kind of...
And yes, the Luka Doncic trade was bullshit.
We'll cover that toward the end when we kind of talk some alternative theories.
Is there aliens?
No.
Fuck. There's got to be an alien conspiracy. I bet you there's a Bigfoot one too.
I'm sure. Not with this. But this, when they wrote pig, they made this jump start to frame Excuse me. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. Nobody's listening anyway.
You don't have to say it. That's why I said it for you.
Since Go Fast and, Tristan and Gregory are here.
The real ones.
I don't even think my mother showed up. She said, fuck this.
I gave you boys a chance last night. You fucked it up. The fat one fucked it all up.
So
you Pearl Harbored your computer.
The next night, the crew went out again and did the LaBianca murders on August 9th, I believe. Manson and four followers. Manson was at this location. Manson and four followers killed Leno and Rosemary LaBianca in their home. Now,
Leno LaBianca.
Let me rephrase that. Manson went in. I believe Tex was there with Tex and tied them up. Okay,
bondage style.
And he tied them up and then said, "Boys, don't let."
Comments always distract us. Any movement and color, we're like simple-minded young children.
And Mrs. Simmons is here. I forgot. I'm sorry.
We should just be mainlining Adderall at this point. It's the way we're just,
Hey, it's our show. We don't give a
squirrel.
But where was I at? God damn it. Oh, Manson was in and helped tie them up, and he said, "Boys, girls, do your thing," and left.
What a bitch.
Victims were brutally stabbed, and war was carved into Leno's stomach.
He even commits crimes like a fucking cult leader.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I started the fire. You watch it, you throw gas on it. Burn it fuck down. They would have been better off if they would have burnt it the fuck down.
So this was a continuation of the helter-skelter theory with carving of war into his stomach.
It's kind of on the head.
To start the race war. Now we're gonna dive into some of the
how the fuck
the conspiratorial shit.
all this free love hippie shit, and they're like, no. That stops with the blacks.
Now, I did come across, I listened to a podcast that the Tate murders, there's a story that has been from a witness that basically how it worked is here. Terry Melcher was dating Candace Bergen at the time from Murphy Brown. You probably don't remember that show.
I know.
Sweet Home Alabama, the movie, you've seen it.
You have a baby in a bar.
Dr. McDreamy's mom, the governor or mayor. The mayor.
You're really deep diving here.
The mayor of New York City. That's Candace Bergen.
Okay.
She was dating Terry Melcher at the time.
Hot.
I think she's probably a good-looking woman back in '69.
Old Candy Melcher.
They lived at the CLO Drive address. They lived in the house. Now, Manson had met Terry Melcher. Wilson had introduced them to try, and the story is Melcher was going to produce and record Manson. Now, according to Helter Skelter, the Melcher basically, and he's an interesting character in this whole saga, basically said, I'm not recording you, and that was it. They moved from that, according to Helter Skelter theory, they moved from that address somewhere else. Basically, in the middle of the night, moved, just got the fuck out.
Seemed like a good idea. When I feel it, I do it.
So this is when Polanski and Tate rented the house. Now, the owner of the house lived on the property. I forget his name. There was a guest house. He lived on the property. So he was
Was it George H.W. Bush?
No, he was a partier. He liked to rent to celebrities because he liked to party with them.
Was it RFK Jr.?
No, just stop. It wasn't that conspiratorial.
How do you know?
Because RFK Jr. was a fucking infant, damn near.
Watch, it's going to come out as like Nancy Reagan.
No.
It's just some off the wall shit. They're going to be like, yeah, no, this goes, I'm not kidding when I say this goes as far as the vice president of the United States of America.
Now, it does get into RFK a little bit. Not in the
senior.
But if you go with a
whole other fucking episode
his assassination falls under this kind of what we're going to talk about with the MK Ultra stuff, and
that shit is crazy.
Now, what was I talking about? Oh, Terry Melcher.
Yes,
they moved out, and Tate and Polanski moved in. Now, according to Bugliosi, the prosecuting attorney. His theory was the Manson family thought that Melcher still lived there, and he went to kill Melcher, but Melcher had moved. So, but anyway, like I said, I was doing my research, listening to a podcast, and there's a witness that claims that Jay Sebrings, the night before this entire group that was murdered at the Tate house was partying. They were at Jay Sebring's house,
which is a garage.
No, it's a nice fucking house. He was a celebrity. He was a stylist to the celebrities, so he had money, and he actually had cable at the time. Well, I'm trying to get through this, and you're fucking making it difficult.
That's what I'm here for.
But he had cable. I did not know cable was a thing in '69. I didn't think it came around till like late '70s, early '80s. But apparently, if you
I'm sure the elites had some shit that we didn't.
So they were all going to hang out at his house and watch a movie. And the cable went out.
Interesting.
So they said, we'll go clubbing. He called the person who installed the cable, a buddy of his, and said, dude, I'm on a date. I'm not coming tonight to fix your fucking cable. So he said, okay, we'll just go clubbing.
That's bad customer service.
And this guy who he called is the one, was the witness who made this statement. Like 2 days.
Oh, okay.
2 or 3 days later, he went out to check, and the cable line had been cut.
So some idiot cut the wrong, or do you think that they were?
He thinks, it is speculated, that the murder, they actually tried to do the murder the night before.
And they cut the wrong cable.
They cut the wrong cable. And probably what happened
was
when they cut the cable, there was a power surge, the lights flickered, and it freaked them out, so they left. So there's some people that believe that the whole thing was about Roman Polanski. The Hollywood has always been Hollywood.
I was going to say, so are you saying that they were almost trying to do a good deed and kill Roman Polanski?
No, there's also a theory that this was Roman Polanski. This was a ritualistic. Polanski was into the dark shit and little kids, apparently.
Yeah,
that's why he's in wherever he is now. Or is he even still alive?
I don't know if he's still alive. Was he in like fucking France or something?
Yeah, he was. No, I don't think it was France. It was some non-extrad where they couldn't extradite him from.
Yeah, France has to have extradition. Those pussies.
Yeah, it was somewhere else. But if this was the case, that the murders, this means Melcher wasn't the target. Which that's very flimsy anyway. I'll cover a little bit later, but there's some proof that Manson knew he didn't live there. You know,
I feel like that's giving Charles Manson a lot of credit for like stakeout abilities.
Manson and Melcher had a little bit more of a relationship than what the prosecution wanted you to believe. Matter of fact, one of the Manson members lived with Terry Melcher and Candace Bergen at that address, the Seal address, for a while.
Why the fuck was it so hard to get into to do this shit?
What do you mean?
Oh, okay. They didn't live there at the time.
When they lived there, one of the male Manson members lived there with him for a while. So Manson and the girls were there all the time. Melcher had much more contact and was much closer to Melcher than what Helter Skelter, that theory, and what Melcher claimed in his testimony in the trial.
Is there a theory that maybe they were supposed to be doing Melcher a favor?
No, that's not it. But anyway, because there's a report that Melcher, there was a witness statement that Melcher, after the murders, went to the ranch and was begging for his life. So it's that whole story. You could do a whole episode just on Melcher and Manson. But Polanski was into the ritualistic side, eyes wide shut kind of stuff. There is here what?
Manson, Melcher, Manchurian Candidate.
Well, we'll talk about that with MK Ultra.
Manson, Melcher, Manchurian.
There's a few more letters in that.
I know that, but like, think about it. Could this be the precipice of something even more grand than we're thinking it is?
That's very possible. I don't know.
Like, where the fuck did they get the name for the Manchurian Candidate? There probably is a reason.
Yeah,
I'm
explanation.
not going to pretend to be the smart one here.
But but Polanski, there was
somebody
Polanski was making Tate do some. Let me say this Diddy shit.
Ain't new.
No, it's just been going on in Hollywood forever.
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
Polanski and Tate, this house was the Hollywood party house. Everybody partied there, and there were
freak offs.
There was probably a lot of baby oil.
Is that why the Hollywood Hills are so goddamn flammable?
Apparently.
The fuck?
But apparently there was either videotape or beta tape, whatever it was back in '69.
Laser disc?
It wasn't a laser disc. Taken from the scene, and it is, according to, I believe this is in Helter Skelter, it had
bad things.
The original, what they said it was Tate and Polanski having sex. But people who saw it, officers who saw it, said it wasn't Polanski. Polanski was filming and was being forced to have sex with multiple men on this tape. So that just goes to show
that's yucky.
Polanski had some shit going on. There was some wild shit. And this tape, when Polanski went back to when he got back in town, like a day or two later, he went back and went to get this tape. They went in and he went and police saw it and put it back. Apparently.
What the fuck?
Put it back. Said, we don't need to bring them down with this. And that's what the tape, one of the reasons why he went back to the house is to get some shit.
At least if it's Roman Polanski, you'd think it was well shot.
You would think. So there is...
Trying to bright side this a little.
There is an occult conspiracy type thing that maybe this was an occult ritual. Possibly. But that I don't think that holds...
No matter what, it's not good.
Right. Now let's talk about MK Ultra. Let's dive into the real meat and potatoes of this podcast episode.
Fuck yeah.
Was he a CIA experiment? Now, like I said, what?
Do we know what MK stood for?
Mind control. I think it was Manchurian, because there's a K in Manchurian.
There is?
I think so. No, maybe not.
That'd be a CH.
You think it would be... You think maybe they spelled candidate with a K? I don't know.
Michael Kors.
I don't know. Anyway, like I said, this MK Ultra was a CIA project in the 50s and 70s using LSD as psychological manipulation. The program experimented on prisoners. Manson was in prison during this time. A lot. They did federal prison, and this is who they chose as their experiments.
He was in multiple prisons during that time. Very
similar to Whitey Bulger. Now, there is documented that Whitey Bulger went crazy, but after he came out of prison, and that he was an informant the whole fucking time. Whitey Bulger says he took part in these LSD experiments in prison. Manson was at that prison for a time. So it's not that far of a leap. Now, granted, Bulger was a gangster, but Manson was a fucking criminal, had spent most of his life in criminal. Of course, it's not that far of a leap to say, okay, we're going to use this guy. This guy's fucked up.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and this is what I mean by he can't prove anything, but there's a lot of smoke. Bulger, we know Bulger was involved in this. Manson and Bulger were in the same prison for a time. Manson's use of LSD, how he used LSD, is very similar to
the manipulation techniques that the government's accused of.
And here's my thing. Was he an experiment? Was he tested on? Or did they teach him this? Did they teach him? And that is why he went out. When he got out, they never sent him back. They kept him out, like somebody wanted him out. Did they teach him these techniques to go into the hippie movement? Because basically the Manson murders, these murders...
they built a weapon and it just went astray.
There's no doubt, it is documented that the government did not like the hippie movement. The CIA and FBI, the hippies, the peace, love movement, or the love movement, whatever that they call that time frame.
That bullshit.
And the Black Panthers were on the CIA and FBI's fucking hit list. They wanted to get rid of this shit.
Shut up. So was fucking Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, and the Manson murders are kind of the death of that movement. Once this happened, the hippies weren't fun-loving, free-loving.
They got a bunch of shade thrown on them. Their white dress had been stained.
So there are some people who believe this Manson was what he was sent to do. To do this.
So he's a psychological super soldier,
right? But Manson. And when we were talking about LSD earlier, Manson, yes, he took LSD, but he didn't take the same quantities as...
that he was distributing.
Right. Just like I did this to a guy in high school once.
Go on.
Spring break, he was being a...
Rumspringer?
He was being a douchebag, getting a little mouthy. So we were going to drink that fucker under the table.
Oh, I thought you were going to go...
he was drinking. We were pouring him full shots, and we were doing this number.
Yeah.
And he got a little pissy about it. He found out about it and got a little pissy about it. I think he punched me too.
Fucking deal with it.
But so he would take a little bit to get a little bit of a buzz, or if any at all, while everybody else was tripping balls. So,
I mean, something like that wouldn't be hard to fucking fake.
right. So
You could easily not actually take LSD.
a lot, and you gotta remember Operation Midnight Climax. You remember what that was? That was LSD and
Oh,
sex.
I remember what that was.
That was LSD. It falls under MK Ultra, but it was LSD and sex. So Manson used LSD,
Dick.
and he was free with it. He was giving it up to both sides.
LSD means two things to the Manson family: mental freedom and long, strong dick.
So
Why he sounded like Reagan, I don't know.
brainwashed his followers is very similar to what MK Ultra was doing, how they did it.
And it reads like, hell yeah, brother. Like, it makes sense. Not only is it kind of like fucking confirmed that they did the shit, but like, if you know anything about any of these drugs, and a lot of the mindsets of a lot of the people at this time period, that shit reads. It's very achievable.
Right. But basically, the way he treated his followers, he broke down.
Excuse me.
These were fucked up kids, runaways anyway.
Yeah. They're looking for acceptance and love from anywhere.
Using drugs, free sex, all you want, breaking down their identity, and basically reprogramming them. No matter what you want to say, this isn't a conspiracy. He reprogrammed them. He got them to commit murders.
He's a cult leader. The Manson family was a fucking cult.
Whether or not, like I said, whether or not this is what he learned this or he was sent to do it, they did it to him and broke him. There's no doubt Manson was intelligent. He was a smart fucker. So let's just say he did partake. They did experiment on him, got out, and none of this parole shit is true at all. What he experienced in prison in these experiments, he did the same thing. He learned how to do it, whether they meant to teach him how to do it or he just picked up on it. It is very simple. He did exactly to his followers what they did to these people in the.
Well, because that kind of reads too, because it's kind of. It could be argued as forced learned behavior from imprisonment, because it's kind of a prisoner's mentality. A long-term prisoner, like, you learn from those that are imprisoning you and calling the shots, because that's how you get away with shit.
Now keep in mind, Jolly West. Let's talk about Jolly West for a minute.
What a benign name for such a
I
character.
think Jolly was a nickname, but Jolly West was a psychiatrist in the MK.
Jeez, that sounds right.
In the MK Ultra program. Now he denied it up to
that.
He denied it up to his death, but Tom O'Neill, when he did his research, he got his papers. He left all his notes. He ended up being a bigwig at. He ended up being a bigwig at UCLA, and he left all his notes and stuff in the library. O'Neill got to him and got to read them. Gottlieb was basically the mastermind behind MK Ultra. He actually found the smoking gun of correspondence between the two of them, basically saying, "I've done it." Jolly West said, "Hey, I have done what we're trying to do."
Eureka. He had a eureka.
Pretty much. Even though he denied it for years to come. I mean, he died up to his death. But after his death, he was a member and a scientist on the MK Ultra. Now, he got
like a domestic project paperclip scientist, if you will.
Right. Now, he got to start in the Korean War. I'm trying to do this by memory, because I've heard the story before. We might have covered it in the MK Ultra episode, but he got his start. There was prisoners of war that were brainwashed by our prisoners of war were brainwashed by the North Koreans, and they were basically, I think, they were coerced into coerced. I'm using air quotes on that, into saying that the U.S. had dropped chemical war weapons on North Korea, which was a no-no. Now, the U.S. denied
the Geneva Conventions and all that.
Yes. The U.S. denied it. And when they got these guys back, Jolly West was tasked with reprogramming these guys. But funny story is, guess what? The U.S. government did it. What they said they did. They did drop those weapons. But that's a story for another day, which will
go figure. Truth comes out.
But MK Ultra
is brainwashing.
The MK Ultra was spawned. This event spawned MK Ultra. The Americans wanted, and CIA wanted to be able to do this.
They did do it.
Yeah, they did do it. I mean, they figured it out.
Like, I don't think there's any arguing that like this shit happened. To what degree could be argued?
And I know we covered this in our MK Ultra episode.
Excuse me.
Jack Ruby.
Great Steaks. Fuck, that's Jeff Ruby. No, I legitimately that was a legitimate one.
Ruby is the one. I'm
an idiot.
Is the one who killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah. No, as soon as I said it, I was like, "You're dumb."
He went crazy in prison. He went absolutely batshit crazy.
Was he crazy before?
No. Right before he was supposed to testify. Now the theory is we all know the CIA had played a role in the JFK assassination. Now whether or not Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy or the government or there was multiple, whatever.
We're hoping the Red Wizard answers those questions.
Why would a guy linked to the mob kill
the president of the United States?
No, kill the assassin of the president of the United States.
Oh. Because
was he that patriotic? I don't think so.
No, he's stopping information from getting out.
But when Ruby was in custody, he went crazy. And do you know when he went crazy? Immediately, or very soon after a visit from Mr. Jolly West.
I wasn't sure if you were like poking me for like a year or something. I was like, I don't fucking know.
But he went batshit crazy after Jolly West had a session with him. So was Jolly West, who was a member, it's documented as, who was a leading scientist in MK Ultra, who had reported that in correspondence that he had figured it out. Did he go erase
his memory?
Fuck with his head, so he went crazy and could not spill the beans on why he did what he did or what he did. Well, very interesting.
It's essentially the same thing.
Right.
If you can make somebody appear or think that they're fucking nuts, you are kind of essentially erasing their memory, because nobody's going to fucking listen to them.
But Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic was behind this whole thing. Here's a fun fact. After this, I think this book, after this book came out, I believe it came out in 2019. 6 months after this, and O'Neill goes in deep on Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic. 6 months after this book came out in 2019,
dead.
No, they shut it down. It was still up and running.
Oh,
they shut that fucking place down.
Oh,
that's
equally as suspicious as this dude turned up dead.
Right.
Well, to me.
So
covering their tracks a little bit here.
Yeah, it could be just a coincidence, but it's kind of.
Is this dude still alive?
Who? Tom? Yeah, he's working on part 2.
Oh, you're the Manson guy here, not me.
As of 2024, he was still alive.
I'm more of the dinosaurs built the pyramid guy of this duo.
Now, People generally piss me off when people
don't think that. I just want to. Sorry.
People are so naive when it comes to the government. They think that they would never do anything.
Yeah, they think that there's any level of transparency from the fucking United States government, which if you think that, you're an idiot.
People, they wouldn't assassinate a president, basically do a coup on the their own U.S. government. Yeah,
they wouldn't do essentially what we did to birth the country that we now live in.
They wouldn't drop chemical weapons on North Korea when they weren't supposed to. They wouldn't experiment on their own citizens. MK Ultra, Operation Midnight Climax. And did you see RFK's
the water?
Right.
The fucking I can't think of the fluoride in the water.
Did you see RFK's confirmation hearing? You know, the questions. There was one senator or congressman, whatever, I don't give a fuck, was
some twisted fuck
questioning, did you say Lyme disease was a biological weapon? You know, he's making such a big deal out. Did you say that, Mr. Kennedy?
And he's
here's the thing. Let me let you in a little fucking secret. That episode's coming, baby.
What, Lyme disease?
Yes. There is a very strong connection, much like this, that Lyme disease was a biological, they were trying to weaponize it in the ticks.
And they lost control of it.
And it got, who would have thought
the ticks would get loose?
Insects would get out of control.
Because that's also fucking confirmed.
Right.
Like, well, I'm not saying strictly that, but like that's been used. We've done that. We built fucking bee bombs.
Right.
We tried to build a fucking gay bomb.
Well, that episode's coming. I'm going to do that.
Gay bomb episode?
No,
I want to do a gay bomb episode. That shit is hilarious.
The Lyme disease episode. Is it actually a biological weapon?
Oh, see, the gay bomb is confirmed. We really did that.
Yes, I think. Yeah,
we tried to make a bomb to make people gay.
Yeah. But anybody that has lived the past 5 years has to realize that
the government's full of shit.
The government lies. They are up to some shady shit. Oh no, we aren't doing
everything that we say we're not.
Oh, that came from a bat. It didn't come from a fucking lab leak. You know. Oh no, we definitely weren't funding that kind of experimentation. I forget the verbiage is what that's called. Gain of function. We weren't fucking funding that.
We didn't have a hand in helping the Chinese government completely disappear the woman that was in charge of that particular lab for that particular company.
Anybody that thinks,
along with her employment records in all documentation of her existence in the Chinese world.
Anybody that thinks the government would never do anything to hurt their citizen, any government of any country,
will fuck you up for their own gain.
You are super naive.
You are nothing to the individual is fucking nothing to the government, the governing body of wherever you live.
And we're going to get there both at this time of 1969. The FBI and CIA were running operations to take down the counterculture movement. COINTELPRO was the FBI's operation, and Operation CHAOS, they were trying to infiltrate and disrupt the counterculture movement.
Analyze and interpret.
They were sending in agents, hippieing them up, and they were making their way into this movement, into the Haight-Ashbury scene. And they were trying to break it up.
Yeah. How do I get ready for this part? This roll. Go roll around in that dirt.
And they had a bunch over there. Naturally, the way especially the FBI works, they had a shit ton of informants. Just like, 2020, the assassination plot to, what was it, the Michigan governor. What was it? The numbers might be off. 8 of the 14 people 8 of them were either informants or there probably might have actually been FBI agents.
They're straight up government employees.
Right. I mean, what's that called? Entrapment? Can you say entrapment?
I could say it, can't spell it.
Just like that date in January of that we won't say, there were FBI agents or FBI informants there.
That one day.
Now, were they stirring some shit or were they just watching?
Were they unlocking doors?
I don't know. But these agents made their way into, and informants made their way into the hippie scene and was Manson a tool? It appears there's evidence that Manson was a tool. They let this shit happen. Now, you can go, like we talked about, Manson's frequent arrests. He just wasn't, he was actually arrested multiple times between 1967 and 1969 before the murders.
For not, like, minuscule minor shit either.
No, from assault, grape, stolen cars,
statutory offenses. How about that?
Drugs, naturally.
The drugs being the lesser of all the evils. And when you're talking in the 60s, the 50s and 60s and 70s, I guess, well, 60s, when in the political climate of that time, when drugs are at the very bottom of the list overall of what you were getting in trouble for, you're doing some shit.
Now, here's O'Neill brings this up in his book. There's documentation and proof that the Manson family was under surveillance prior to the murders. They were watching the Spawn Ranch.
That's, I mean, that you could kind of take that multiple ways.
Well,
the reasoning for that, you know what I mean?
Well, now you got to keep in mind, I don't think they were arrested till the murders. Those 2 murders took place in August. They weren't arrested till November or December. I can't remember what month they were actually arrested. 1 week after the murders happened, Spawn Ranch was raided. 1
week post murders.
Okay. Before they were suspects, supposedly.
That's one thing I don't know, because like I said, I never dove into this to that extent. What was the timeline of murders happening, arrests made?
Like I said, it was November or December when they were arrested.
Okay.
Of 69. It was
a while.
Months after the murders.
Yeah, a while.
But a week after the murders, Spawn Ranch and the family were raided. They were looking for, according to the warrant, and at the time, this was the biggest raid in California history. At the time, multiple agencies.
That's surprising.
They were looking for, apparently, the Manson family were stealing VW bugs.
Typical.
And making doom buggies out of them. And I guess selling them, I guess.
What kind of Chad shit is that?
But upon the raid, they found guns, they found naturally drugs. Manson was arrested, handcuffed, and in the midst of arresting him and handcuffing him, I guess there was a little bit of a struggle. Stolen credit cards fell out of his pocket.
So, fraud.
He still didn't go back. The charges were all...
Federal offense at that point.
He never went to prison for this even. And this, like I said, was a week after the murders and was not a official... The family wasn't a suspect at this time. So to make a bust or to do a raid, they had been under surveillance before the murders. You just don't find something out and then next day go raid somebody. There's planning involved. So
unless you have damning evidence and you just go get a warrant.
They were probably watching.
They were watching. Always watching, Wazowski.
Now, there's something in here.
There's a lot of fuckery afoot here.
Yeah, there's something in here I want to... Okay.
There's a lot to
Most
fucking
people
break down here.
And this is where another little chink in the armor, I might say.
Hey, fuck you, all right?
I'm not that kind of.
Don't bring my nationality into this, you son of a bitch.
Don't get me canceled tonight.
You guaylo.
Most people never have heard of, unless you're, everybody's heard of the Tate LaBianca murders. Mm-hmm. There was a murder before this, the Hinman murder. Now,
never heard of this shit. Go ahead.
If you're a hardcore Manson, you've heard of the Hinman murders, but Manson ordered the death of Gary Hinman on July 25th, 1969. So
69.
a week, a little over 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks before the Tate LaBianca murders. Basically, why did they kill him? He knew the Manson family. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like they were cutting off some loose ends.
He wasn't actually a member, but he was an acquaintance of the family.
He was a tag along.
Manson got it in his head, or heard, or somehow that he
hang around. That's what they call him.
Right? He was a prospect.
No, hang-arounds and prospects are different.
He was
prospects have to do stuff.
Manson got it in his head that Hinman had come into some money from an inheritance or something.
Okay,
and he sent, I forget, Bobby Bousselet was the main guy. He was the Tex Watson of this Mission Impossible, and some of the other girls.
Way stupider name.
They sent them to get this money. Manson was there and left his MO. They ended up killing Boosie. They ended up killing him,
Little Boosie.
And they wrote "pig" on the wall. And
this was before the LaBianca murders?
Before the Tate LaBianca murders. And we didn't make any fucking connections.
What? I'm sorry, chief of fucking police for, I don't know if it's LA County or what.
I think
I'm sorry, stupid, dumb fucking idiot.
And here's...
Wait, you're telling me that closed caption television caught the same man with the same gun with fingerprints everywhere, looking into the camera and saying, I'm going to kill this person at both scenes, and saying his name and holding up his driver's license, and then openly murdering the person on camera.
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's a little far-fetched to say that these are related.
I'm pretty sure this was under the sheriff's department jurisdiction.
I mean, it doesn't, like, across the board, we both know that the California policing system has had some pretty big oopsies over the years.
They're not good at slow speed chases, we'll say that. Maybe we ought to cover that one too.
They've got a great batting average.
Boosie,
depending on the color of the person
Bobby Bousselet was actually arrested fairly quickly. I don't know. He was arrested before the Tate murders. I don't know whether a day or two, but he was in prison. They arrested him before the Tate murders.
They got Lil Boosie? Go ahead.
It is reported. There were witnesses and there was a witness, I should say, that Bousselet called the ranch. And he called from jail.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey, come get me, motherfucker." But that was recorded. And he told one of the girls, I think, or whoever
was it back then? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they were recording it. He told one of the girls, or whoever who was on the phone, give him a sign. So there is those people who believe, because pig was written at the Tate LaBianca murders.
Okay.
Or the Tate murders. I'm sorry, not LaBianca. Was Bugliosi...
Lil Boosie.
No. Bobby was in jail at the time of the murders. There are those people... hold on. Is it possible that... the Tate murders...
Damn.
Was made to look like the person who actually killed him. Somebody else killed Hinman. The same thing was written. But the whole give them a sign to think they had Bobby Beausoleil the wrong person for the murder. Was it just to get him off of that murder? Obviously, it didn't work. But what's even worse, they didn't make the fucking connection between the two murders.
How? What? Just pack it in. Pack it in any California police district. Man, I should have undone my belt a long time ago. That was very freeing. That was as free as the United States government allowed Charles Manson to be for like a 15-year period.
Now, let's see here. Now let's talk about, we're about ready to wrap it up.
I love these episodes where it's like true crime, but it's not about the true crime. It's just about the conspiracies.
Well, we did the true crime part of it early on. Reeve, there's another character in this story, Reeve Whitson. He's a mysterious figure that interjected himself into the investigation. He actually helped, I believe, Sharon Tate's father investigate. And I believe Sharon Tate's mother wrote a book about it.
Of course she did. That reads.
Tate's father had government connections. I wish I wrote it down, but I couldn't. But anyway, Reeve Whitson is said to be an agent with the CIA.
Like a full-blown actual
agent.
Employee of the agency?
Right. Okay. Now, everybody in his family thought he knew he was gone for long,
But no paperwork, nothing to lead back to that.
O'Neill, he's a character in O'Neill's book. But he actually asked the CIA, was Reeve Whitson a CIA agent? And he got the typical...
Maybe.
I cannot confirm or deny, which is yes.
That's yes.
It's just like,
That's yes without being... That's saying yes, but saving yourself from perjury.
It's like pleading the fifth. If you have to plead the fifth, you fucked up. You might as well say, I did it.
Yeah.
That is an official yes.
That's no wink.
Right.
That's what that is.
But he did have access to things in this, and he is said to have had prior knowledge before the murders took place. He called somebody, I forget who, and said this is going to happen.
You know who he called?
Who?
Two options. Ghostbusters would be the obvious one. I would have to say Blake Maislin.
What are we?
444-4444.
Okay, now let's finish up here on Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecuting attorney of the Manson family. He wrote the book, like I said earlier, Helter Skelter, which was New York bestseller. Popular true crime. Or Anne Frank, I don't know.
I think it was Rob Zombie has a song called Helter Skelter. Random throw-in.
So the beat... Manson used Helter Skelter. Didn't the
Beatles have an album called Helter Skelter?
No, it was on the White Album. It was a song on, I believe, the White Album.
Race War?
And according to Bugliosi, he believed the song Helter Skelter inspired Manson to come up with this whole race war theory.
It's on the White Album. White good.
But, like I said, there's some fucking major... Grand Canyon size holes in the fucking Helter Skelter theory of Bugliosi.
This whole story is like a 13-year-old kid's face.
Now, he downplayed the Terry Melcher. He's the one that came up with the Terry Melcher only met him once or twice. He put Melcher on the stand. Melcher, I think Wilson had maybe passed away. Wilson never took the stand, I don't think, but Melcher took the stand and testified against Manson. He lied under oath. He said he only met him 2-3 times.
As long as it's as long as it behooves the U.S. government, right. You can do that.
But Vincent Bugliosi was not a clean-cut character. He was not the all-American boy that you might think.
He had a little goatee of shame.
No, he had a full Duck Dynasty beard of shame. Passed. Before he became...
He was a crime bear.
Yeah, before he became the celebrity DA or prosecuting attorney of this case, he had an incident with his milkman. Now, this story is fucking wild.
What? What?
He had an
He fucked the milkman?
No, he didn't fuck it. He thought his wife, he had a son. He thought his wife had fucked the milkman, and the milkman was the father of his son.
Oh, God.
This goofball, crazy, jacked up on Mountain Dew motherfucker, probably.
Anarchy!
He stalked the milkman.
Sick.
He went as far, he used DA, his powers as DA to
his connections.
Look into him. This, you could tell this is back, we live in a whole other world now. He went to...
You just Facebook creep him now.
He went to the school of his daughter, and picked her up, took her toy shopping, and dropped her off at the house in the driveway with the mother.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
What the fuck?
Now, it all came natural, and the milkman, when he started doing this, like I said, this is before the murders. This is years, I don't know exactly what year. Early 60s. The milkman, it went to, basically, it got settled out of court.
Sounds about right.
He had his wife show up to the door and say, I know you're not the father. Just do something,
In my mind, he sat in the yard and he snapped a twig and he was like, "You're gonna need some calcium."
But it got settled. They just want the family, the milkman's family just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah, I'd call that fair.
Now, the daughter confirms the story. And she actually said, in the book, you didn't even scratch the surface on how fucking weird it got.
But did she keep the toys? Because that's witness tampering.
Probably.
I would. Fuck you.
Now, here's the thing. The DA knew about this. The DA's office knew about this. They didn't fire him. So, strike one.
What?
And another incident. He had another incident before this. I believe it was before it. He had an affair and knocked a woman up. And he naturally he wanted her to get, take care of the problem, gave her the money to take care of the problem. Probably only $20 back then. I don't know.
Wanted to send her on the old Chinese roller coaster.
I think he gave her $300 or something like that.
Shit, that's like $1.4 million back then.
He called the doctor. She didn't do it. He called the doctor and said, "Hey,
punch that bitch."
Did she show up to get the problem?
The procedure.
Yes. The doctor said, "I don't know. No, she never showed up. I didn't do no." So he went to the house and proceeded to beat the living fuck out of this lady.
Yeah, we gotta speak in code words. Has the eagle been vacuumed out yet?
Well, and it did cause her to lose the pregnancy.
What a piece of shit.
Let
me guess, didn't get fired.
She went and filed after the beating. She went and filed a report.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say she filed a restraining order. I feel like you shouldn't need to file a restraining order. They should just be like, there you go.
She went to the cops and,
he was fighting an uphill battle, too.
He was not, somehow he went back to her house with his secretary.
What?
To get her, with her typewriter, was it stenography or what?
Stenography? Oh, the fucking, the little 9-key keyboard.
To get her to recant. I forget exactly how the story goes. The cops, somehow the woman ends up on the phone with the cops while he is and his secretary are at the house. And that's right, they wanted her to come in. They called her They wanted her to come back in and just talk to him a little bit more.
Give him a statement.
We'll send somebody. We'll send a patrolman.
And it was him.
We'll send no. It was just a regular. It was actually, I believe, the sheriff's department. Or whatever. We'll send a patrolman or a sheriff out to pick you up and bring you back, and we want to talk about this some more.
Who the fuck is this guy?
She said, "No, I'll come in. I'll come in. I'll get there." They kind of knew something was up. The cops or sheriffs, whoever, showed up at the fucking door while
this was going on.
Dickweed was still there.
This is fucking Jason Bourne?
Right. Now,
Liam Neeson?
She still recanted her story. So he never...
They caught him and he just like ripped the paper off the thing. He was like, no takesies backsies.
He claimed... Well, he never served time. Or he didn't even get fired.
Why would he?
But the DA's office knew all this. So why in the... You got to remember, in 1969, the winter of, or late fall, early winter of 69, when this trial was getting ready, or whenever this trial took place, whether it was 70, I'm sure it was probably 70.
Excuse me.
Why the fuck did they give the most high-profile case at the time? This was OJ type, popular, in the pop culture of everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
You had liberal celebrities going out buying fucking guns because they were scared when this was going on.
Yeah.
Why did they give this fucking case to a jack-off who stalked people? You would think you give it to, hey, you're ace in the hole. You're number one.
Yeah, not fucking...
Did they give this to him because he was controllable? He was compromised.
They had dirt on him.
They knew they could get him to play ball.
Enough dirt to like really fuck his life up.
Well, this douchebag tried to run for...
Go ahead.
This douchebag tried to run for DA. And...
Won?
No.
Oh.
The milkman came out and said, oh, hell to the fucking no, and went public with it. And he lost that race. Then
he said, how dare he?
Then, and here's this motherfucker. When the milkman came, he was running for DA, and the milkman came forward, he said, oh, no, this was he stole $200 from us, and I was investigating it. That was his excuse.
What, did he give it to his daughter for lunch money?
And the guy said, nah.
That'd be some shit if that turned out to be true, and they're like, what'd you do with his daughter? And he's like, it's on camera, and he's just fucking like shaking her upside down like in the movies.
So luckily he did not win that election.
Good.
So later on down the road, the dumbass, that didn't work for him, so he ran for Attorney General of California. And this is when the woman came forward.
Yeah.
And said, this is when this story came out. Naturally, he lost that one. Apparently he had, after the Manson murders, his celebrity, he had a dream of being president.
He MLK'd it.
Yeah, but he did. He kind of screwed the pooch on that one. All right, but why did they give the most high-profile murder to
a twat waffle,
a taint liquor,
a booger eater?
I mean, this
butthead.
This guy was fucking crazy.
Yeah, legitimately, I would have to say so myself. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, this makes sense.
He's exhibiting real John Travolta character behavior, real Nicolas Cage level weirdness.
I mean, if the CIA was involved with it, and he did suppress evidence. All the witnesses. Melcher was the key witness. He had in his notes. He knew Melcher. He knew about the witness that said Melcher was there after and he just no, we're not covering that.
Oh no, but walking straight in the house from work into this fucking nonsense is a mind fuck.
But this is the beauty of this book. You can't prove any of this shit.
I know, but I'm gonna have to learn how to read so I can fucking read this book.
I want to actually. Like I said, I listened to the book, but apparently he has pictures of his document.
You're gonna hear me in my room like the fucking illiterate girl from A League of Their Own.
This book goes much deeper into what I just.
It's much deeper than either of us are ever capable of in any action.
I mean, but there's enough fucking smoke here
that there's got to be a fire somewhere. Even though the fire may be put out.
Now, like I said, whether or not he was under, you can't, even in 1969 or mid 60s, late 60s, you can't break parole that many times. Yes, they didn't have,
and not get in trouble.
Especially when you went to jail the last time for breaking parole.
Right. You break parole usually, let alone a second time, usually you're going to fucking jail and finishing your original sentence.
Somewhere down the line, you can't be arrested that many times and not go back to jail.
Yeah.
When you're on parole.
Traditionally.
You can't break parole. And there was no consequences for him going from LA to San Francisco, and they said, okay, that's fine. Here's a new parole officer.
He got arrested and he was like, I fucking hate milk. And he was like, I like that guy. Let him out.
I mean, that alone shows it's maybe somebody wanted him on the outside.
Yeah, I would have to say so. I've theorized that myself. You've gone much deeper into this topic than I have, but just the little bit that I knew before this evening,
I mean,
I was like, this motherfucker in cahoots.
You should see my original notes. Matter of fact, I could bring them motherfuckers.
It's probably like 50 pages.
This is the highlights.
I have to do it too. I end up with like 20 to 30 pages of notes on almost every topic that I actually find interesting.
Let's see. Okay, this is my original notes. Much smaller font.
Oh yeah. That's twice as much as what we just tried to go through.
I mean,
yeah, those look like me notes.
But I didn't want this to turn into a fucking another West Memphis 3 episodes.
Yeah, those are very much me notes.
I mean, it's just, but there's so much smoke, something's burning.
Yeah, someone's getting. Yeah, there's someone's.
It's either
someone's making fajitas.
They protected him. They knew he was doing it. They sent him to do it.
Or it is the biggest folly in the history of the correction system.
And California could not catch a fucking cold.
No, they've proven that.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, in my mind, if I'm being logical about this, he was I believe he was experimented on. He learned what they did, and he used it. They fucked him up.
There we go. We got to clip that so we can make some fucking memes out of it.
They, if I had to put my, this is what I think happened.
That's the dude's wife with the milkman right there. They experimented on him. He used it when he got out. He was smart enough to realize what they were doing. He learned from the experience.
He learned from the experience, and when
they thought that they were building. They thought that they were building a quote-unquote soldier, and really what they built was a monster.
And they probably released him into the wild. They knew what was going on before his release. They said, let's release him and just kind of see what happens. I don't know if he.
And then shit hit the fan.
I don't think he was under orders. I firmly don't believe that. I think they said, okay, let's throw him out in the wild and see what happens. And that's why somebody's watching out for him. They never violated his parole. they ultimately, what happened, not the murders per se, but the outcome of it, the death of the counterculture, the summer of love, and the hippie movement, they wanted it gone. I'm not big, I don't know.
Can't say they were entirely wrong with some of that.
I don't know much about the Black Panther Party when it ended. It's probably still going on, but it seems like about this time they've lost probably a little bit of its momentum.
You want to see some crazy shit? Have you seen the Black Israelites?
No,
dude, that's a whole nother can of worms. But not episode worthy because we'd probably get in trouble. But they basically want to enslave the white man. It is their holy right to do to us what has been done to them. It's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting cultural phenomena.
Well, that's really all I got. I mean, like I said, there's some weird...
Manson was a clone, or was a pawn in one way, shape, or form.
No matter what, I think the government knew what he was doing. They probably wanted...
They skated him through the penal system.
They looked out after him, and, if he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. They Drago'd him. And that dude's wife...
That makes sense to me.
If that dude's wife didn't fuck the mailman, she did after he did all that fuck shit.
Yeah, but that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I can see that. I can see it.
Oh, there's something going on there. Was he a weapon of the government? Maybe not.
But
was he
a product of
the government?
Yeah,
almost definitely.
And they kind of said, okay, maybe we can use this, turn this into something to our. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, people are going to die, but it's going to fit our agenda.
Hear me out, Chauncey.
All right,
I have an idea. We take the hairy, stinky man, and we utilize him for our behoovement. I don't know. I was going for a word that sounded English.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I'm good. We went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but
I'm exhausted. We picked up hours at work, and then we had to do this. I had to sit through this mind fuck.
Do you have any idea what you're going to do next week?
I have no idea. I can't even think about it right now. I can't even. My brain doesn't even work.
I mean, I fucked you up by doing true crime.
And it very rarely works at all.
I fucked you up by doing true crime.
I'm working at about 8% brain activity on a normal day. After work and this, we're working at about 0.84%.
Manson was in jail when he asked when Manson was during JFK assassination. He was in jail.
He was in the tunnels.
I think he was in jail from 60 or 61 when he got parole violated to 67.
He was on Epstein Island.
Yep. But Travis will do an episode next week. I don't know.
I have no fucking idea. I have ideas, but I haven't landed on a specific one.
We will try to do it in one night and not crash the computer.
Although I do have to say, we are almost due for a multi-part episode.
Oh, okay.
Like a real solid humdinger.
Okay.
A real butthole tickler.
Well, we'll see. All right, we'll see. Maybe we'll cover something big.
Speaking of butthole ticklers, what are you doing for dinner?
I don't know. I'm getting fucking hungry. My stomach's going to start growling.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, guys. Thanks for everybody in the chat.
Thanks for tuning in.
We greatly appreciate you guys.
We're on all your favorite podcast streaming apps.
And if you listen to this on your podcast streaming app, be sure to come over to YouTube, subscribe, and catch the live show. You can interact with the people on the chat.
And leave us, hopefully, a positive review.
Fuck it, who cares?
As long as it's above 2 stars, I'm happy. As long as there's more stars than inches of dick in this room right now, we're solid.
Yeah. So we will be back probably next Tuesday, probably.
See you next Tuesday.
For another live stream. We will try to do it in one night. We thank you. Take care.
God bless America. I think that's it. I think that's the ending.